Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Getting Over podcast. Yes, that's right, it's premium live event time, and this time round it's SummerSlam. It's warm, not as warm as it has been, still warm, but the wrestling's heating up. We've got SummerSlam, 2 nights, first time ever, 2 nights, and so many matches. We are talking about news, some of it not great, but it is in fact news. And we are talking what happened in last time's predictions, and then we dive straight in to SummerSlam. Predictions, left, right and centre. A lovely little system, this time with 5 people predicting. It made for a real something else. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously the big one, the one we like the most. Share that podcast around. If you know anyone, you're like, I think they like wrestling. Maybe they'd like this. They absolutely would. Send it their way. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Getting Over.
Welcome, one and all, to the only place to get your WWE fix on the CookieCast network. That's right, it's time for Getting Over. Today's episode sees me joined by not one, but 2 other participants. So without further ado, allow me to introduce the leader of all things CookieCast, Mr. Andrew Cook.
That's me.
And podcast regular, Mr. Paul Williams. How are we, fellas?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Lovely jubbly.
Warm.
Yeah.
It's to go away now. Mind you, it's appropriate for SummerSlam, which is kind of why we're here this time. So,
I did have this on right up until recording, but it's obviously the loudest thing known to man, so probably wouldn't have been very well appreciated.
If I didn't know that was a neck fan, I would have made some sort of Craig David reference for those.
David.
So yeah, but yeah, on top of the live guests this evening, ready for the biggest party of the summer, we also have predictions a little later from Mr. Matthew Moore and Mr. Max Hepworth, who couldn't join us for the recording. Now, regular listeners will be aware that we've promised Max probably at least twice now. And unfortunately, the reason that he can't be with us is because his shifts has changed. And I can't really tell you exactly what his job is, but let's just say the timings and the security of some of the national transport network lie in that man's hands. He's a train driver. So, he has an early shift. We'll let him. So, yeah. We will get the predictions in there still, so we'll find out if Max has indeed fared well next time around. Normally, we would start with a predictions title, but unless you've been living under a rock, there's been a little bit of news in the wrestling world this past week, so it would kind of be remiss not to start there. Hulk Hogan passed away, aged 71 last week. The most recognisable face in all of wrestling left us following a cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida. Hogan was a 6-time WWF/E champion and 2-time Hall of Famer, both on his own in 2005 and part of the NWO in 2020. Hogan began his wrestling career in 1977, so his wrestling career was as old as Star Wars, to put that into context. But he really hit the big time when joining the World Wrestling Federation in 1983, headlining 8 of the first 9 WrestleManias. His first reign as WWF champion lasted for 1,474 days. Hogan was also the first wrestler to win a Royal Rumble back-to-back in 1990 and 1991. In 1994, Hogan joined WCW and became their world champion on 6 different occasions, but not all of these came via his all-American persona. Hogan reinvented himself as Hollywood Hogan with the formation of the NWO in what was at that time the most shocking moment in professional wrestling. If you're going to talk about other shocking moments that came off the back of that, look up the finger poke of doom if you're not familiar. Hogan did return to WWE in 2002, and he took the undisputed title from Triple H before departing just a year later in 2003. Hogan was probably the first big name from WWF to break into mainstream movies on a regular basis, and had roles in Rocky III, No Holds Barred, and Suburban Commando, to name a few. That film did not age well, by the way, if you've if you ever looked that up. But yeah, Hogan certainly had his most controversial moments much later in life, with media company Gawker releasing a sex tape involving Hulk Hogan in 2007, in which he appeared to use some racial slurs. Hogan successfully sued that company, but his reputation certainly took a hit at this point. A small period of redemption came around 2014 on his return to hosting duties with WWE. But then again, in recent years, in alignment with President Donald Trump on the campaign trail, once again saw Hulk receive negative reactions at most of his recent appearances with WWE. There's absolutely no question that Terry Bollea led a very unique and interesting life, and without him, the world of professional wrestling would not be as we know it today. So, gents, after all of that, anyone want to weigh in with any particular Hulk Hogan memories or thoughts?
I suppose he was like my first foray into the wrestling arena was WrestleMania 9. So obviously rather confusing to see the main event take place and then him just appear and then the real main event take place, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the next thing that I saw was the King of the Ring, which as far as I can tell was the first King of the Ring pay-per-view. And that's where the cameraman tried to take a picture of him and the camera exploded in his face. And that was his departure from the WWF. I did see something the other day that said it was quite fitting that he was the last WWF champion and the first WWE champion, obviously, because that was when they'd lost the lawsuit with the World Wildlife Fund. And they had the whole Get the F Out campaign. And he won the undisputed title of Triple H, I think at Backlash 2002. And then you had the switch over. I thought that was kind of very fitting that it was almost the closing of the company, the rebirth of the company. It was him that was the guy who was the guy. So I thought that was quite cool.
WrestleMania 9 was one for me as well, because it was the first WrestleMania that I remember watching live. And it was back in the days of the old like Sky Sports where, you know, you couldn't record anything unless you had like some sort of hooky video link round and put it onto a VHS. And I remember watching it live, and then you had the option of, if the bits you fell asleep, you kind of had to like, it would then play constantly for like a few days afterwards. And you then had to like find it at the right point where you'd missed a bit to kind of catch up again. But yeah, WrestleMania 9 was a strange ending. I remember being really kind of, as a kid, being really happy that it had happened. But then, like, as an adult, watching it back, being really annoyed on behalf of Bret Hart for what had gone on. I was lucky enough to meet the man himself back in when he was in his TNA days in Manchester. I'd paid for a meet and greet thing, and the premise was it was about 50 quid. You didn't know who you were meeting beforehand, but there would be like a lineup of different TNA wrestlers. And I did it twice. And the first time I did it, I got Sting. And the second time I did it, I got Hogan. There was multiple people there as well. Like AJ Styles was amongst that group, and Bubba Ray Dudley, and like quite a few others. But those were kind of the two biggest names. I remember leaving there thinking, holy, that was actual Hulk Hogan. And like, yeah, bizarre. We got a signed program that day, and many years later, went to his shop in Orlando on International Drive. And for those of you watching on YouTube, that little bit of yellow that's poking out from my left shoulder is a weight belt that I picked up from there. So yeah, there's a few little collectibles in there that will remain in the collection, but just to bring back the stuff. I think The one thing I don't have that I would have liked to have had would have been like an NWO Hogan something, because I never really got to watch WCW because it was like there's a bit weird over it, wasn't it? 'Cause it was like Channel 5, early days.
I think it started in '98, maybe the coverage on Channel 5, or like early '99 or something like that, because there was the Channel 4 stuff for WWF kicked in like very late '99 or very early 2000, because I remember the Royal Rumble being the first thing on Channel 4. But yeah, I used to see the occasional bit of WCW on Channel 5, and it was normally when my grandparents had taped it and then just sort of like left the videos there for when I'd go to my grandparents' house and stuff. But yeah, by that point, obviously the NWO was kind of on its last legs, really, wasn't it? And it wasn't really
Yeah.
the force that it had been 3 years earlier. And
But
stuff like
my first real regular introduction to the NWO was when Vince brought them back to kill his
Yeah.
creation. It must have been around 2002-ish, I
Mhm.
want to say. But that kind of then made me want to go back and watch, like, you know, where they'd come from, and that's kind of where I picked most of that up at that point. But yeah, some the way that turn was done at the time, I still stand by that. Like, it's possibly forever the most infamous moment in wrestling, particularly of like our generation. Like that, he was never going to be the bad guy. He was never going to be that third man. And then the amount of stuff thrown into that ring that day when it all went down was just insane. But yeah, anything from you, Andy?
I'm very, very mixed about it. It's that thing of Hulk Hogan was the face of wrestling. Like across the board, he was like he was the the sausage to the mash for wrestling. It was you know the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior sort of feud time was just the absolute tip of the spear. It was everything, and that went for so long. You can't have wrestling, especially like you say WWF, WWE, without that name being at the very top. And then, unfortunately, you then have the later stuff, and the later stuff. I think I said in our group, there's this real thing of late of can you separate the art from the artist, and can you say that person at that time was great? They may not be now, but that doesn't diminish what they did at the time, and so on and so on. And I think largely the answer is often yes. But the last good few years have been quite hard to sort of watch or stomach in some places. And I think that reputation has just become, unfortunately, more and more tarnished. So you have that. He was wrestling. We might have to sort of make some attempt to ignore the rest.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't not mention it, because I fully appreciate that he's not everybody's cup of tea, probably because of the latter end. But then the wrestling as we know it kind of wouldn't exist without the force that he was. So absolutely. It's one of those. You kind of. It's one for the sort of like lessons learned kind of thing for those guys that are in his position now.
If you go back to that Vince McMahon documentary and look at the early parts of that documentary, that everything centered around that man. Yeah. Everything. He was the keystone. He was the thing that the business was going to be built on, and Vince was prepared to put everything on the line for that man. And it paid off, So to say that entire business was built on that man's back, I don't think is a you're not overselling it there. Certainly at that point, it absolutely was.
The weird thing was as well as two things. 2 days before it happened, I was in London. I was driving back from London when the news broke. I was messaging you guys for parts of it when I was looking at the NFL memorabilia in the Fanatics shop in London. This is, for those of you that can maybe see that on YouTube, I don't know if this is going to work particularly well. That is an example of a 1985 wrestling card, and that is on their wall in Tops. There you go, I suppose. Even out a bit now. In Tops, London. It's had like the history of trading cards, and he was there, like on their wall. And then 2 days later, obviously the news breaks, and yeah, imagine that a good bit of their stock maybe removed from sale for a little bit. But yeah, we'll move on. Obviously, anybody that's still big fan, obviously thoughts to you, thoughts to his family, because at the end of the day, he was also somebody's dad and everybody's brother. So we'll leave that one for now. A little bit more news. It's not as serious perhaps as that, but we mentioned last time around about Saturday night's main event, and Seth Rollins had a match against LA Knight and lost said match. However, during that match, appeared to suffer a bit of a bad knee injury. Now, we know Rollins has got a history of knee injuries. I seem to recall horrendous surgery after he tried to buckle bomb Kane, going back a few years, and was out for a good period of time. Concerns are that it's possibly the same leg. But as the current holder of the Money in the Bank briefcase, that's kind of thrown a little bit of doubt into the air. I realise that's not necessarily something to mention off the back of the news previous, but I couldn't not mention that given where we're going later in the podcast. So just perhaps bear that in mind when we get to the SummerSlam stuff. Right. Shall we pick the mood up somewhat? We didn't do the predictions title at the beginning because of the news, so we will do the predictions title stuff now. And last time, you may remember Paul snatched the predictions title away from Andy in a cruel tiebreak on Mr. Cook's birthday, no less, meaning that Mr. Williams now carries the goal into the festivities of the SummerSlam weekend. So, from our Evolution predictions, let's see where the points went right or wrong. Last time, the results were diabolical. This time, we had 7 points to play for, and I am very, very pleased to say that we fared much better this time around. It was just myself, Paul, and Andy predicting. So out of 7 points, we all scored more than 50%. And on that note, in third place, me, as usual, 4 points for me. However, also on 4 points was Andy, leaving Paul still up there, top of the mountain, with 5 points. Well done, sir. So yeah, let's find out where it went wrong. Andy, point lost when JC Jane retained the NXT Women's title. I lost a point when the Judgment Day retained the women's tag team titles. We all got Becky. We all got Jade. Nobody got a point for the Battle Royal because myself and Andy had Nikki Bella. Paul had Natalia for some strange reason. I think he'd maybe just had a slight bang to the head before the recording. We all got Tiffy. And then the women's world title match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, nobody got any points because that was suitably ruined as a one-on-one contest, turned into a triple threat, and Naomi walked in with a briefcase, well, sort of hobbled after being smashed about in the No Holds Barred match earlier on, and walked out with the Women's World Championship. So yeah, 5 points to Paul, 4 points to me and Andy. in terms of the matches, I don't think this paper or premium live event had any right to be as good as it actually was in the end. It was one of those, had that feeling right from the off of come and prove everybody wrong. I don't know if you guys have seen all of it, if you've seen parts of it. The opener between Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria was an absolute banger of a match to begin with. Perfect pacing, so many like decent bits in it. Really, really enjoyed that match. And I just thought overall from there, the pacing of just the whole event was really well done. There wasn't really any great shock apart from obviously the cash in. I would hazard a guess that everybody had Naomi holding onto that case until Jade had some sort of title based on what's been going on of late. And I think we even mentioned that last time out. But the fact that she's also used the case to switch brands now as well, going from SmackDown to Raw is a little kind of side note. But even then, she's been doing some of the best work of her career since she won that Money in the Bank briefcase, and seemingly has gone from strength to strength. The stuff that has happened since Evolution, she hasn't missed a step. Really, really enjoyed it. Did you guys have anything in particular that you'd seen or wanted to bring up off the back of Evolution?
Well, I suppose, like you said there, like obviously the opening match was very good. The main event was very good, so I was thinking perfectly sort of bookended by those two matches. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what was like sort of in between really that was like that sort of stood out, but I can't really recall what any of the matches were because like when I tend to watch them, it's just like it's watched and it's gone. It just like disappears out of my head.
Well, the no holds barred match, the Naomi versus Jade Cargill, I thought was pretty good, and certainly by Jade's standards, because some of her matches haven't been of the slickest, shall we say. I mean, way better than I could do, obviously, clearly. But there was a point in that match where the finish was up on the second rope, putting Naomi through a table using her finishing move, Jaded, which is kind of difficult to do from that point because effectively it's like she sits down into the move and Naomi kind of flapjacks forward, and I noticed that Naomi was bleeding quite profusely from the bridge of her nose at the end of that match. So then she'd obviously taken a bit of a whack at some point, and then to come out and cash in and still go through with it, having had a bit of a rough night earlier. I thought that was a hell of a performance, really. I liked the NXT women's title match. It's no surprise to anybody that listens that I'm a bit of an NXT fanboy anyway. I like the NXT like style programming and the women's division. If you think how many women are on the main roster that absolutely smash it, NXT is still stacked in the women's division. And WWE, if they play everything right, don't have anything to worry about for a very long time because AEW has a fantastic women's division also. WWE have got theirs and then a full reserve squad on top effectively. So, that's kind of to me the biggest surprise as to why it's taken so long to get Evolution back round again.
On that sort of regard, I don't know if anyone's seen the Unreal stuff that's been launched on Netflix.
Episode 1, yeah.
In that regard, there's a point where it comes up where Triple H says, like after one of the women's matches, you're like, honestly, for every guy on the roster, there's like 4 or 5 women that are like just at their like level and stuff like that. And it's like it's mental. They're just so much smarter than we are and stuff like that. And he's pretty much right. Like, certainly at this particular time, I'd certainly say that, like, from like a ready sort of to like be top level stars, the women's division is probably healthier than the men.
Yeah, I agree fully. Right. Well, unless anyone's got anything else, that feels like a nice point to tie a little bit of a bow on Evolution, and we will move swiftly along to the SummerSlam predictions. Now, it's a bit of a beast this year. For the first time, SummerSlam is a 2-night affair. Both nights coming to us live from MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's the 38th annual SummerSlam, the first airing in 1988 from Madison Square Garden. As a bonus, can anyone tell me the main event from that first ever SummerSlam? I'll give you a clue. It links into what we talked about right near the beginning.
I was going to say it has to be Hogan.
Hogan? No, it can't have been Hogan. Oh no, Hogan Savage in a tag match.
Keep going. Keep going.
DiBiase and Andre?
Correct. It was the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks with Jesse Ventura as the guest referee. I thought that was quite a nice little link. So I popped that in. But yeah, as always, the match card information is taken straight from the horse's mouth of WWE.com. Is always subject to change, of course, but is correct at time of recording. Now, I always say that, something I have to say. There is one change that could happen depending on, we'll get to that, but we'll go there. But yeah, with SummerSlam being 2 nights, there are way more than the standard Triple H 5 to predict. 12 matches, no less. Now, unlike the WrestleMania podcast we do, these haven't been split into nights 1 and 2. We're just going for it. All 12 predictions on this one episode in a randomish order. The match that I'm going to start with, seeing as we had Evolution, felt right to start with the women's match on the predictions list. We're going to go for the WWE women's title. Tiffany Stratton defending her title against Jade Cargill. The Storm is coming to SummerSlam. Jade Cargill earned her title opportunity at the biggest show of the summer when she was crowned Queen of the Ring earlier this year, defeating Asuka in the final. Tiffany has been champ since January the 3rd, which feels amazing to me. Like, that seems to have disappeared. But that was as a result of cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase, and she has taken on all comers since. Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, and even Hall of Famer Trish Stratus, to name a few. Cargill's momentum hasn't slowed either, most recently with that impressive victory against now Women's World Champion Naomi in the no-holds-barred match that we just talked about. Can the Storm sweep away the title in her first attempt, or will SmackDown's women's division still be running on Tiffy time by the end of the weekend? Where are we going, gents? Now, I said I've got them from Max. I said I've got them from Matt. I've already got mine in the book, and I can tell you that we already have differences of opinion from the get-go. I can tell you that myself and Max have both gone for Jade Cargill, whilst Matt has gone for a Tiffy retention. Max did also furnish me with a little comment per prediction. So for his, he's not done them in the same order that I have in my book, which is not conducive to my scrolling during the podcast, Max, if you're listening. So he has said that Jade will win. And he said if they don't have Naomi and Jade in the 5 versus 5 at Survivor Series, they will have Naomi versus Jade as champion versus champion. He said he also feels that Jade winning will lead to a feud with Bianca, but he's not really a fan of Jade because she's a little bit botchy, is what was alluded to earlier. So yeah, I've got Jade, Max has got Jade, Matt has got Tiffy. Andy?
Yeah, I'll have a slice of that Jade pie, please. It's she's a bit of a juggernaut at the moment, isn't she? And it just feels like that's the next stop on the destruction tour. So yeah, absolutely with you boys there. Jade for me, please.
And Paul?
Same for me, please. Yeah, I think it's Jade's time. Feels like they've sort of made a bit of a rod for their own back with having her win the Queen of the Ring tournament. So having her lose her first real sort of championship match would put her back a couple of steps, I would imagine. So
okay.
She needs to win and then prove that she's worthy of a hype, so to speak.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, just Matt out there on Points Island right from the off. We're going to probably just quickly try and cover one more match before we hit the break. So we've got Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Now, this is the match that I was alluding to that may have a change to it, mainly because Drew McIntyre came over to the UK for a friend's wedding and then wasn't allowed back into the United States.
So I was going to send you a message about this and be like, how legit is this? Because he's like, oh, Jelly Roll, do you know people at customs? Oh, what's going on? And I'm like, you're clearly in the UK when you're doing your video. So what is the legit side of this story?
So apparently he went to get back on the plane and because he's dual nationality, I think now. I think he's got American citizenship.
Both passports. He just didn't have one of them with him.
Yeah, I think because he didn't have his American passport with him. It caused a few issues. But yeah, I'll rattle through my blurb and then we'll see how we get for the predictions wise. We might have to take a little step. But yeah, Randy Orton teams with probably his most random tag team partner to date, American singer-rapper Jelly Roll. They're teaming up to take on the tandem of Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. This match came about after Jelly Roll accompanied Orton to the ring for his match against Drew at Saturday night's main event. And during the match, Logan Paul and Jelly Roll got into it as Logan Paul was prevented from interfering in the contest. The distraction, however, allowed for Orton to hit the RKO for the win. But Logan Paul went to sucker punch the victor straight after the bell, and Jelly Roll blocked it before clearing Logan Paul from the ring. How was Jelly Roll rewarded? A full Claymore kick to the face from the big Scotsman. Following this, Orton suggested that the four settle their differences at SummerSlam. So here we are. If Logan Paul hasn't made an Iron Brew flavoured prime to celebrate the occasion, he's absolutely missed a trick. So, we've got 5 predictions to come in. We're just going to take 5 now. You won't know that. You will blink and we'll be right back with these predictions and we shall see you there. See, told you, here we are already. Quicker back to you than Drew McIntyre would be through customs. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, this. My favourite thing that's come out so far about this match is the fact that if Jelly Roll was British, he would be known as Jam Sandwich. That tickles me every time I think about it. I don't really know who he is, other than the fact that he's been on wrestling a few times. I don't know him for his chosen profession. What I do know is that Travis Scott seems to have dropped off the face of the planet in terms of WWE's favourite rapper, because I think there's something possibly going on there at the moment. So yeah, we've got a bit of fresh celebrity meat on deck, as it were. In a surprise to absolutely nobody, Matt has gone with the celebrity tag team, if you like, to win. I have agreed with him. And so has Max. What has Max put for this one? Max has put, why bring Jelly Roll in if he's going to lose? Logan Paul will take the pin because it doesn't really matter. I think he's nailed that, to be honest. And he's nodding away.
Yeah, it's another prime example of why book something that everybody knows how it's going to go. It's a bit like, can we cut out the middleman and just give them the win sort of deal? Why do we need to go through? It's very much a why have Jelly Roll there with 3 like wrestlers, if you want to call them that. I had a tough time picking it in a lot of ways because there are 2 people I really like on each team. There's somebody I cannot stand on one of the teams. And Jelly Roll's one of those that if you wanted me to tell you a song that he's done, I'm going to struggle. But he's big friends with a couple of the comedians I follow. He appeared in a TV series I've been watching. I know quite a lot of his backstory because he's been on a lot of podcasts I listen to. And I genuinely quite like him. So I had to go with what made the most sense. And that's absolutely the most sense. It's going to be a Randy Orton jam sandwich for you, Stu.
Oh, that is a bit. I think it is. It really cheered me up when I saw that day. Anyway, Paul,
Yeah, exactly the same as everyone else has said. Basically, I would like to know the reasons as to why he's coming in. Don't know if he's got
Well,
a book out or something.
he's
Andy's.
he's been big on the old like weight loss and fitness trail, hasn't he? And obviously because he's done that, and he's then friends with some of the wrestlers and what have you. He's kind of worked his way in that way. So I assume it's kind of just a general. He seems to have a finger in a lot of pies, shall we say, but not the ones that he's gonna put weight on with anymore. He's found his way. I don't know. Like Andy said, like Andy obviously knows more about him than I do as well. Have you happened across him in your time, Paul?
So, strange enough, he is on a playlist that we have for our little boy, and I'm just trying to remember what the name of the song is. I believe it's "Run It" by Jelly Roll, and it is a very good song. It's actually from the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 soundtrack.
Oh, maybe I have heard his song then by accident again whilst we was doing things with the kids. So, okay. So just to confirm, you've picked Orton and Jelly Roll as well, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. Let's move on from that one then. That's the first clean sweep of the 12 matches. So next on my list, the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. The Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne are champions defending against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So this is 2 of the 4 teams that faced off at Evolution, and they're mixing things up again at the biggest party of the summer. Flair and Bliss weren't pinned at Evolution, and they've now secured another chance at the gold, despite their somewhat awkward dynamic. It's been quite fun so far. It's weird that they're like positioning Charlotte as a bit of a baby face, which always feels a little bit weird. But yeah, there's not really much has happened since Evolution. We've not had that much time pass other than they didn't lose, so they were given another shot. And I guess it's just, can Flair and Bliss strike gold at MetLife, or are the Judgment Day going to loom large and hold on to the titles? We've gone with the ones in the book so far. Shall we get a fresh prediction in? Paul, do you want to go first this time?
I've gone with a retention on this one. I think that it's probably for the same reason that I picked them to retain at Evolution. Obviously, Roxanne's only just come into the group, doesn't reflect well on her if she comes in, loses the titles before Liv's had the chance to sort of, get healthy and come back and restart that storyline start. So, for me, it makes the most sense to keep it on them. And dare I say it, they may already be the longest reigning tag champs in that particular division.
Raquel will be on her own.
Yeah, but obviously it's the cursed title, as we've always said, as of that. So whilst things seem to be going okay, dare we suggest they just run with it as it is, rather than making changes again.
Okay, Andy.
This has been a tough one, but I've ended up going Charlotte and Alexa for this one.
Put that in the book for you. Any particular reason?
Don't necessarily want to say other than when I looked at my predictions, I was like, I need to put one down different. I had to go back and change one, and this one, that was not my reason. That I had a totally legitimate reason. There was definitely I worked all out. This definitely wasn't just because I was like,
That's still the reason. It's fine. It's fine. Well, even if that was your reason, the other 3 predictions, Matt, myself, and Max have all gone in agreement with you, Mr. Cook. Max's comment on this one was that as we're now seeing the crowd warm to Charlotte, as I just spoke about, to an extent, I think they'll put the title on her and give her a babyface run with a title. By making her the tag champ rather than the women's champion, it allows WWE to give her a push without her being the main event. Means that maybe the crowd won't get sick of her quite so quickly. I think that's a fair comment. I think for me, it's more they've lent into this kind of friends of convenience kind of routine. And I think they'll go down a bit like I think Alexa Bliss has got it in her locker anyway to do a bit of the comedy style stuff if she needs to. But I think that Charlotte's never really had to show that side. And I think they'll probably use it to kind of open that particular door. Right. What is next on the card? I have Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Now, Kross has been barraging Sami for months now, trying every opportunity to get inside his head. These two faced off at Night of Champions in Saudi, in which Sami came out on top. However, shortly afterwards, Kross cost Sami his opportunity to be part of a number one contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Sami couldn't wait to exact revenge, but a lead pipe provided by Scarlett tipped the scales in favour of Karrion Kross. Now, Sami Zayn's got a little bit of healing time behind him. We go to a decider to see who comes out on top. Who have you got? Andy, do you want to go first this time?
I've got Sami Zayn as the shortest version here. I've got Sami Zayn because I think, feels like he's cooled off a little and, vowing to be, champion one day. I think this is the sort of push that would sort of send him in that direction. And if the company were yeah, okay, maybe we should explore this, then this would be a good point in time to sort of fire in that direction. I always feel like they never really do anything with him. Yet he's still there, which for a company that love firing people left, right, and centre, getting rid of it. I mean, they've just got one giant shovel and just shovel people out the door, sending them off to all sorts of other companies. The fact he's still there sometimes baffles me when they're like, eh. So it's kind of that they need to poop or get off the pot kind of thing. They need to do something with him. And this would be a good sort of place to start. So let's have him win this and then do something. So that's why I've got
okay. All right. Well, Matt is in agreement with you. However, myself and Max aren't. We've both got Karrion Kross. Max has said, and when I read this, I had a little bit of a chuckle. So when you listen to this, Max, you can enjoy that one. I don't think Max is particularly a Sami Zayn fan, as his entire comment was, nothing really needs to be said. If Sami is involved, it's to put the other guy over. That was the whole comment on the match. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I sort of agree with what Andy said, and particularly with regards to the either need to poop or get off the pot comment, which I particularly liked. But I feel like for Karrion Kross, it's about damn time that he got his shot. He's been lurking in the background for months. Having only had a handful of matches on TV this year, for one point, it was the biggest merch seller for a couple of weeks with around WrestleMania, after he kind of got a bit of traction just from doing his own stuff online. And I think it's about time he got that. Sami Zayn is that perennial guy that they do nothing with, but yet he's still a relatively big name. So Karrion Kross beating him sets him on that path too. So this is possibly the most 50-50 it's been so far, but Karrion Kross for me, and again for Max. So Andy's got Zayn, Matt has got Zayn. That puts us at 2-2 in the predictions. Paul?
Ooh, I don't know this one because I was kind of like set in where I was going, and then something that someone said has kind of put me in the opposite camp now. I'll go Cross, mainly because it doesn't really sit in his character to do the whole forfeit side of the stipulation, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, like, I don't see a scenario where like he has to admit that he was wrong, etc., because it just make him look weak. I don't know. So yeah, I'll go for Cross to win because he can do the backside of the stipulation, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, Paul, I haven't actually mentioned that stipulation in the build-up, and that's something that I have completely missed. So, do you want to elaborate a little on that? That's my apologies.
Well, I just seen something like they've put a stipulation on it where whichever one loses has to admit publicly that the other one was correct, or something like that, or that they were wrong about something. I'll need to look into it properly. I just heard that on another place. Let me. If you go to the next one, I'll try and find the details of it, and I'll go through it when it comes back.
Oh, so I've got it. Stipulation added. It's Cross announced the stipulation. Apparently, if he defeats Sami Zayn at SummerSlam, Zayn must publicly admit that Cross was right and do so in the center of the ring with a live microphone. It doesn't say what happens if Sami Zayn wins. So maybe, and again, that's my apologies. That's something I'd completely missed, and I feel a bit silly now. But I suppose that means, Andy, do we need to give you the chance? Would you like to? Does that change your prediction somewhat?
No, I never really like to go back on it. Even when given all the information possible, I'm often like, I said what I said. I'll write it until ride or die. So no, I think I will just stick with Sammy on that one. I think.
Okay, no worries.
I think from like the way we've covered it is that both sides are very similar in like it could go either way in a lot of ways because of the same reason.
I'll contact Matt off air as well and just double check that if he wants to change it, because that is brand new information. So we'll move along. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso tagging up against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman will be in the corner of Braun and Bronson. I really want to. Every time I say their names, it wants to come out as Bronathan for both of them. But Seth Rollins should be nowhere to be seen following the knee injury that we discussed a little earlier. This one, very simple setup. Roman came back to clean house against Seth Rollins and get back at him for what happened at WrestleMania, but the henchman got in the way. Jey evened up the numbers to come to the aid of his cousin, and a tag match was made. In the final Raw before SummerSlam, Breaker absolutely leveled Jey with a huge spear, and Roman attempted to make the save, but was also put down. Can the former bloodline exact some revenge at SummerSlam? Now, there is a difference of opinion already in the book, in the sense of myself and Max have got Roman and Jey to win. Matt has gone for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Max said they wouldn't have Roman, they wouldn't bring Roman back to have him lose. Yep, simple. Understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
My thing with this was I couldn't decide if they were going to use Roman and Jey as like the catapult for Seth Rollins' stable. But I have this thing about if they look super strong on the Raw before the Premium Live event, I'm not sure that they're going to win at the actual Premium Live event. And they both looked like beasts, and Roman and Jey couldn't do anything about it. So I've clearly picked Roman and Jey for that reason to then win at SummerSlam. Andy?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just the simple fact of you're not bringing Roman back to it's very much for all that time that he had the title, for all the time that he was the absolute top. But in like the tag side of things, it's like a soft way of bringing him back and having win without any real pressure on anything. Obviously, once he's back and embedded, then move on through and get back to that sort of main stage. But just for now, it feels like the right move, the best way to do it, sort of thing. So yeah, Roman and Jay for me.
As daft as it sounds, I feel like they're heading back for a repeat main event again, in the sense of I can see it being Rollins, Reigns, and Punk, but this time with a title in the mix, because Punk with the briefcase will at some point bring that in. And I feel like this is kind of like where the Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins thing is going to really bed in, and then obviously Punk and Rollins don't get on anyway, do they? So at some point they'll mesh that together again. It's kind of at this point that's where to me it feels like it's going. Paul, the final prediction then again on this one. If you pick Roman and Matt will be on his own.
It's like you said, whenever someone has like a really strong showing, in the go home show before the pay per view. Premium line event as it's known now. It's always like angle alert, angle alert, angle alert. Isn't it? One thing that I did see that someone had said was that they hope that off the back of it, that they hope that Roman comes out for the match with just his socks on, because obviously he got speared out of it, he got tsunami'd out of his boots, didn't he? So that would be quite humorous. If he comes out in just his stocking feet. But yeah, it's like Andy said, you don't bring him back if we've not seen him since WrestleMania to have him lose again, unless they're building a storyline of he's lost his mojo because Heyman's gone, and he needs to find it again. Although I have got a theory about where they're going with Roman for the future, but I can bring that up when something else comes up later.
Okay. So that's all in the book then. So yeah, it is Matt out there on his own with that one. The next match brings us to the halfway point in the predictions proceedings, and that is the US title match, which is a steel cage match between Solo Sikoa defending against Jacob Fatu. At Night of Champions, Solo defeated Jacob for the US title in controversial fashion as the former tribal chief formed his new MFT faction, still my family tree, still stand by what I said last time. It's that website that your auntie uses, causing a distraction enough anyway to dethrone the now former champion with that lot. The animosity has been building in the weeks since. MFT even tried to frame Jacob Fatu for a staged car crash on SmackDown. It was a bit of a weird episode, that. I don't know if you saw it, where it started with this car crash, had an arrest by the most overacted police officer you've ever seen. And the whole episode was, is he going to get arrested? Like, is he going to jail or not? And then, obviously, Solo and the rest of the group were out in the ring. At the exact point, it was proved that Jacob Fatu was in the clear. He absolutely lost it, went hunting, straight to the ring. But before things got too out of hand, a match was made for the United States title at SummerSlam, but this time for it to be inside a steel cage. Obviously, as we all know, to definitely 100% keep the faction away from having any kind of interference in this. But Jacob may have avoided being locked in a cell that night, but now he will be locked inside a steel cage with Solo. But who will emerge with the US title? Paul, do you want to go first?
This is another one where I've been swayed by something that I heard on another show. I will go for Solo to retain, via the re-emergence of Tama Tonga.
Okay.
So they've obviously they've got it in a steel cage, so no one can get involved. Absolutely no outside interference.
I don't think
So
I've ever seen a cage match that's had outside interference, so
Nope,
it
doesn't happen.
100% works
Nope,
every
doesn't
single
happen.
time.
Yep, correct.
Cool.
Never once been the case. So
Okie dokie. Matt has gone for Jacob Fatu, just to mix it up, so we've got one apiece. Andy?
I agree with Paul. I believe that Tamatonga will return and side with Jacob Fatu for the win.
Ooh, okay. So we've got two Jacob Fatus on deck then now. Right, okay.
please God, we don't need more than one. Christ almighty, that'd be an absolute carnage.
Yes, quite. I can round it out though. We can balance it back up again by saying that both myself and Max have gone for Solo. I'm dawning on me at this point. I should point out that me and Max do have a few differences in the in the predictions. They are coming up shortly. Max's comment was they don't want Jacob to look weak, so Solo will still win, but it'll either be because of the bloodline interfering or Jacob throws Solo through or off the cage, and then he ends up hitting the floor first. I can see that happening.
Yes, I love that. I love that finish on a cage match as well. That's always a good one.
It's the old Bobby Lashley sort of truck spear through one side of the cage, isn't it? When
Yep,
cool.
I like it.
Well, I've gone for Solo for it's more for me the old. Well, he's only just got it, so we'll give him a month first before we say he's going to get rid of it. This is my main thing. So yeah, so Andy and Matt with Jacob Fatu, everybody else with Solo in the book. So we've gone from one mid-card title to another. It's the Intercontinental Championship for the fellas, and it's Dominic Mysterio defending against AJ Styles. Time has finally run out for Dirty Dom. He has to face AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. These guys were supposed to square off for the title at Night of Champions, but an injury prevented the match from happening. Dom then kept waving a doctor's note in AJ's face week after week after week until he couldn't hide any longer. Dom hasn't had a televised match since June, and AJ holds victories over every man in the Judgment Day in the current calendar year, Dom included. Can AJ repeat that feat, or will AJ once again show that he's got Dom's number? Sorry, Dom. You know what I mean. Will Dom win or will AJ win? We're here now. Let's go with it. It's very late when I wrote this. Right. Okay. So Max has gone for AJ Styles. And with that says this in his set of predictions will be another title loss for the Judgment Day. Maybe Roxanne Perez isn't good for the Judgment Day and they turn on her. Again, I think I referenced last time that them having the titles or not possibly depended on how long Liv's shoulder injury would put her out for. I could see that happening. I could see Liv returning sooner than they expect, and then her, basically the rest of them being in trouble with her and it causing bother. However, this is one where I don't agree in the actual prediction. I have gone for Dominic Mysterio. He's gaining a lot of traction at the moment, not just in the US.
Have you seen that video?
Yeah, the Mexico trip.
Yeah.
Go on then, Andy. If you want to take that.
He emerged in a ring in AAA wrestling,
yep.
And the place blew up. Like, people who were there saying it's one of the biggest pops they've ever seen, and it's like, I mean, wow. So yeah, apparently he got a big reception there. He seems to be quite hot in a lot of ways.
They were really talking him up on Raw this last week. because they've got Pat McAfee still off at the moment. So they're back to having Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. And the comment that really made me laugh, it was AJ Styles and the Kabuki Warriors versus the Judgment Day in a 6-person mixed tag match. And Roxanne Perez kept sort of trying to save Dom from getting hurt in the match. And they were saying that Cole was trying to play it up as a bit of another love triangle sort of situation. And Corey Graves came out with a comment. Obviously, bear in mind, everybody knows what Dom looks like and how he acts. Something to the respect of, can you imagine having to live your everyday life just being so hot that all the women will do this for you? And Cole was like, nope, sorry. It just made me laugh. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Max went with AJ. I went with Dom. We brought Andy in already, so we might as well go with Andy for the next prediction.
I'm glad I got in before Paul on this one because I'm going to use a Paul Williams classic prediction. Dominic to win with some shenanigans that will actually be a DQ.
Okay.
So he will win by default.
But Dom to win still.
Dom to win
through
disqualification.
Okay. Matt has also gone for Dominic. So in my book, it currently says Dom. Paul?
Oh, it's a full-on retention for me again. But like you said, it's just like he's caught fire, like sort of at the right time, and obviously that the pop that he got on Mania was big. And like they said that thing, didn't they? That like Triple H had made him go back out to sort of soak it all in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think like taking it off him now does him more harm than good. So you keep the belt on him until at least the end of the year, and then you sort of like see where you're at from there. I suppose. I mean, like at this point, is there an argument to be made that you have him win the Royal Rumble? I don't know. I mean, that'd be a bit of a stretch for me, but I mean, if he's over, then you know.
We saw what happened with Jay.
I was going to say that all you need to do is look back at last year, see that you know momentum. It can be massive for picking a surprise Rumble winner. So yeah, just a straight up retention for me for Mr. Mysterio.
Okay, you're in the book, and we will go from the men's Intercontinental Championship to the women's Intercontinental Championship. It's a no disqualification match between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. So the Lynch-Valkyria saga is set to conclude at SummerSlam with a final battle for the Intercontinental title. If Lynch wins, Lyra can no longer fight for the title whilst it's held by Becky. We know the history. We know that they set the stage for Evolution with that banger of a match we mentioned. We know that there is absolutely no way Becky loses, right? It's set to be no DQ, so anything could happen. Multiple people could be involved, but only one woman will be IC champ by the end of the weekend. Who's it going to be? Paul, do you want to go on the wraparound with that one?
It should be a Becky retention on this one again. Again, I keep ripping it from other places, but I'd seen something where it was interesting where it said that it probably Becky to retain because Bayley gets involved and costs Lyra the match, and then you start off this like Becky Bayley sort of team that starts like going off in another direction and stuff like that. Would quite like to see that. So yes, I will go for Becky to retain, possibly with some outside interference from Bayley.
Okay. Max has gone for Lyra, but also says, with it being no DQ, he'd expect Bayley to involve herself in the match in some way, shape, or form. So he agrees there will be an appearance of the role model. Andy?
Yeah, I think it's all sort of flowing in one direction. I've got Bailey to interfere. I think, but shortest version is I've got Becky down to win. But there's going to be interference. I think this plays into whether there's going to be a draft and what that draft will look like, and maybe to shake up that women. It just seems to be going round and round and round at this point. I think it's maybe time for some fresh meat for the grinder. I think so. Yeah, keep the belt there. Get some new-ish faces in and start something else up. But yeah, Becky to win.
Okay. So Matt has got Becky, and I have got Becky. So much like the last prediction, Andy, Paul, Matt, and myself have all gone for a retention. Max has gone for a title change. So yeah, my thing with Becky is that, like, I think she will win. I don't buy this thing of Lyra not getting to fight for the title again. And it's actually Andy that pulled it out with the draft stuff. I can see them swapping the mid-card champions from Raw to SmackDown. So therefore, if Lyra goes the other way or remains where Becky's not anymore, it won't really matter because she'll still be that mid-card contender. Just it'll be a different belt. So yeah, so we've got 4 matches left to predict, and they are meaty. We've got a tag team title 6-pack TLC match. We've got a women's world title match, which is a triple threat. And we've got the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE title to talk about. So on that note, just going to refresh our glasses. Again, you won't notice a thing. We'll be back split second, and we'll see you there. See, we're back. And as we said, we've got 4 to go, and we're going to start with, I mean, it feels like a SummerSlam tradition. I mean, it's kind of not, but, you know, brings back some memories, doesn't it? It's it's a TLC match, but this time, instead of 3 teams, it's 6 teams going at it, all regarding the WWE tag team titles. So the Wyatt Six, the relatively new champions, Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, defending against Andrade and Rey Fenix, DIY, so Gargano and Ciampa, Fraxium, Nathan Fraser and Axiom, the Motor City Machine Guns, which is Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, and the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. As I mentioned, at SummerSlam 2000, the first ever TLC match took place featuring the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian. 25 years later makes me feel well old. TLC returns to SummerSlam once again to decide the WWE tag team titles. Recently, the tag division has been heating up on SmackDown, with the 6 featured teams coming to blows on regular occasions. Following a recent title match on SmackDown, where the Wyatt Six were defending against Andrade and Rey Fenix, all 6 teams ended up in a mass brawl, leaving Nick Aldis no choice but to book this absolute carnage. Who is going to scale those ladders and take home the gold? I have a feeling that whilst this will be the most unpredictable in terms of in-ring action, there is a high chance, I would suggest, that everybody is about to say the same team. I can obviously confirm that the 3 in the book already say the same team. So let's see if we can go 4 for 4, shall we? Paul, do you want to start on this one?
How long ago did they win the belts?
Hmm?
How long ago did the Wyatt Six win the belts? A couple of weeks, maybe? 3, 4,
Yeah,
5?
3 weeks tops, yeah.
Wyatt Six retention, please.
Okay, not to give anything away, but are we then going to go 5 for 5, Mr. Cook?
This was the one. This was the one where I was like, something that makes the most sense is to just leave it as it is. It makes the absolute most sense. Then you've got Andrade, Ray Phoenix. And apparently they live on Points Island.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but I really like Points.
Okay. Well, I'm starting to type it, so you need to tell me if I'm...
So I'm playing for points for this one, gents. I'm going Andrade, Ray Phoenix. I think they're getting a lot of heat. I know it makes almost no sense, but this was the one that I didn't want to pick because all day I'm like, I mean, it just makes no sense to just put that. It makes no sense to just put that. But my eye was like, just kept. But that makes the most. But and I think that it's weirdly, I think there's an argument for all of them. So you could argue well this and so. For a lot of the day, I was like, I'll just say leave it on them and on. But when I heard Points Island was up for sale, I was like, it looks like I'm in the market to buy. So, yeah.
Well, Max came in with the comment of it would be pointless to put the belts on them to take them off straight away. And then went on to say, but due to the poor booking that Bray received, it wouldn't really surprise me if a faction in his name received similar treatment. I can understand that. He said, but again, to clarify, Max did pick the Wyatts, as did everybody else, apart from Andy. I think this will be possibly the most fun match of the entire weekend. You will struggle to find a harder working group of guys, I think, to pull this off and to really put this top level. To me, anything that's got Gargano and Ciampa in it is onto a winner. But you add in the Street Profits, particularly Montez Ford, obviously. You add in the current champions of two relatively unknown to the main roster still, other than the fact that they've walked around in spooky masks for a few months here and there. Those guys could go when they're in NXT, and I think they'll have a lot to prove. And obviously the other teams, Andrade and Ray Phoenix thrown together because of their heritage, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but this is WWE tag teaming booking 101. It's like, we need another team. Who can we? Yep, them guys are from the same neck of the woods. Them together. So I don't know. Ray Phoenix is one that they will eventually strap a little bit of a rocket to at some point.
Do you not think it'd be nice if, like, Ray Phoenix had, like, a partner that was maybe, like, related to him? But it's just a shame that, there's no one in the company that's actually, like, related to him, is there? Carry on.
Okay. But yeah, I'll leave that there. So yeah, just for clarification, Andy, the only one deferring from the Wyatt retention. Right. So this is where we start to get back into the top end of the singles titles. And we're going to start with the women's world title. And technically, is it a rematch from Evolution after the cash in? Because that made it a triple threat. But it is a triple threat match this time with Naomi as champion defending against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Io and Rhea went to war at Evolution over that women's world title, only to have Naomi cash in, make it that triple threat, and just run away with the gold. This was made more impressive given that she lost that no holds barred match and had that sort of injury to the bridge of her nose where she was cut pretty deep and bleeding. But yeah, during the championship celebrations the following night on Raw, both of the former champions had a lot to say when disrupting Naomi's time to gloat about it. Easy decision for the Raw general manager Adam Pearce. Triple threat time. Rhea still hasn't beaten Io in singles competition, so that stat lives to fight another day. I have a sneaking suspicion that Io hasn't lost a triple threat yet either. But is that stat going to live to fight another day? We'll see. Obviously, given Naomi's new demeanor, both Rhea and Io need to proceed with caution. So again, I'm gonna go to Max's stuff first. Max has gone for Naomi. Purely, again, too soon to take the title. He said Rhea doesn't need it. Io didn't do enough with it. I agree with the Rhea comment. I agree with the Naomi prediction. I don't agree that Io didn't do enough with it. I think we've had this conversation before about the person making the title or the title making the person. I think Io Sky was one of the people that needed the title to boost her stature, and it's really given her a showcase as to put out what she can do. I would say that she is possibly 10 times more popular than she was as part of any faction that she's been involved in. Whilst holding that title, the crowd warmed to her. They were doing the stupid, crazy hands, like, along with her at the entrance, everything. So I think that title has helped her. Did she do enough with it, as Max has sort of alluded to? Did she really have a chance, would be my question. I feel like that her title reign has been cut short because they've got something in the offing with this whole Naomi situation. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So for that, I've got Naomi. Max has got Naomi. Matt has got Naomi too. So dare we give it to Paul again, just in case Andy can pitch another tent on the beach of Points Island. Not that Paul, you dirty boy.
Jesus.
YouTube can enjoy that bit.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, I too am going for Naomi to retain. I think it's harsh to say that Io didn't do much with the title. Obviously, she beat Rhea for it about a month out from WrestleMania. Had the really good triple threat at WrestleMania, and then wasn't booked for anything for the next 6 weeks. So that's not really on her. That's more on the company. And I'd seen something the other day where somebody made the argument that you could sort of state that she's the best worker in the company, regardless of gender. And I wouldn't say that that's an inaccurate statement, to be honest with you. She's so polished. She's so good. But I think you could make the same argument for Rhea, that regardless of gender, she's one of the most over and the most talented people in the entire company. And I think they're going to run with that story that she just can't beat Io for as long as they can. And then obviously the idea will be that they'll either pull the trigger at next year's Mania or even potentially say next year's SummerSlam or Survivor Series if they go that far with it. And she finally beats her in a one-on-one. What I did hear was that someone had said that you could even play up that for this particular finish, you could have that she hits Io with the riptide, even potentially off the second rope or something like that. And then Naomi comes in, bundles her out of the ring, and takes the pin on Io, so that it's a case of, Rhea had a beat, but because it was a triple threat, Naomi stole it from her, so she's still never beaten her. I quite like the idea of that. So, Naomi to retain, please.
Okay. So, are you getting the tent pegs out of the packaging, Andy, at this point?
Well, ultimately, I'm going to have to turn that tent into a camper van at this point, aren't I? Because Points Island's looking real pretty right now. No, unfortunately, it is not Points Island for this man. It is clean sweep territory. Ultimately, I will rejoice in the day that I can say Rhea to win. It's one of those things that I absolutely agree that I think she is probably the best in the business at this point in time. I've said on back-to-back podcasts at this point, she's my absolute favourite wrestler, I think, at the moment. But it is not time for her to be champion at this point. It's just working. I don't see Naomi having it for forever, but I do see her having it at the end of this match. So, clean sweep, gents.
Okay, good stuff. I think it'll be a decent one. It's one I am looking forward to. So the World Heavyweight title next on the card. Gunther defending as champion against Charles Montgomery Punk. So this should be one hell of a match. The ring general versus the best in the world for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther defends the title fresh off reclaiming it from Jey Uso and then retiring Goldberg. Punk has a shot after winning number one contenders gauntlet match, outlasting Bron Breakker to claim the opportunity. CM Punk has made it clear since his return that he wants to be champion again, but he's facing one of the most skilled wrestlers in WWE today and a man much bigger than he is, who is also 2-0 at SummerSlam. Also, what part will Seth Rollins and crew have to play in this? Will Seth's knee injury reveal to be a sham? Are we going to see a cash-in? Or could Breakker, Reed and Heyman just be sent to disrupt Punk's attempt at winning the title? What do we think? There's a lot going on in this one. Paul, do you want it?
You would think that all the signs point to if the Rollins thing is not legit, this is the one that he comes back in for. This is the one that it costs CM Punk the title. But I disagree. More of that to come later.
He's struggling.
I really don't know with this one because I kind of like both sides of it. Because obviously you've got the sort of the Punk's been back now for nearly 2 years. I know he obviously lost like 6 months of it to his injury or whatnot, but he's had a couple of chances now to win one of the world titles, and if he doesn't get it done here, outside of winning the Rumble or the Money in the Bank, does he deserve another title shot? So you kind of run the risk if he doesn't win it now, is he ever going to get a chance to win it again? Yeah, go on then. Stick me down for Punk to win.
Okay. On the back of your last comment, I'm going to jump straight into what Max has said, because Max has got Gunther to win. Nothing about Gunther whatsoever in what is written to me. He's just put CM Punk will win the Rumble or the next Money in the Bank. He wants Punk to win, but he thinks that's what's going to happen, so he's gone for Gunther. Matt has gone for Punk, like yourself. I have gone for Gunther. I think that whether Rollins' injury is legit or not, the reason I put that bit in the blurb, if Rollins doesn't come back and cost Punk, he'll definitely send the minions to do it. So I can see that happening. The question then of will Punk be in any fit state to cash in? If he's not too far away, what's to say that Reed and Breakker don't absolutely smash, 10 bells out of whoever wins the match, obviously thinking that it would possibly be Punk at that point. And we end up with a champion that could potentially be on crutches as he pins him using the bottom of like a moon boot or a crutch or from a wheelchair. If he's not actually going to be injured for too much longer. I don't know. I feel like this is one thing that they probably had in the offing. And if the knee injury is legit, that's probably just thrown up a bit of doubt. If the knee injury isn't legit, then they've done well because it's enough to put doubt in my mind as somebody who watches it. So that's the name of the game. But where we stand now is 2 for Punk and 2 for Gunther. So not on points island, but you will be tipping the balance either way this time, Mr. Cook. So where are you sat?
I agree with what a lot of the stuff that's been said here. I see CM Punk doing more further down the line. I see a lot of interference in this match, and I see Gunther ultimately winning it. Gunther had a couple of big losses from WrestleManias, I believe.
He lost. Well, he lost to Jay.
Yeah. So I feel like this, in some way, rights the balance. And I think, yeah, like I say, I think CM Punk will go on to do more, just not right now. There's too much other stuff flying around.
Okay. So collectively, the democracy says Gunther will win, but we've still got 2 votes for Punk in there. Right. That's it. We've got one more to go. And that is the undisputed WWE title match, which is a street fight, no less. John Cena as champion defending against Cody Rhodes, which is possibly the worst wrestler name to say with a Hull accent ever. You're very welcome. A WrestleMania rematch is upon us. In that encounter, Cena made history by becoming the 17-time world champion, but did so in controversial fashion. Since that night, Cena has dubbed himself the last real champion and has vowed to ruin wrestling by taking home the title for good at the end of his farewell tour year. That's held firm so far. Title defenses against Randy Orton and CM Punk are now in the history books. Cody has had to work his way back to the title scene and did so by claiming the King of the Ring crown for the first time in his career. Cody beat longtime friend and mentor Randy Orton in the finals to earn the title shot at SummerSlam. Cena tried to get out of this match by saying he had filming commitments elsewhere. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Cody took matters into his own hands by laying out the current champion before forcing Cena's hand, literally, into signing the match contract, before then revealing Cena should have also read the fine print and it is now going to be a street fight. Is the Golden Farewell Tour going to continue, or will Cody be the one to dethrone John Cena on his way out of the door? Does anybody want to go first?
Well, I would just like to bring up the point that from a legal standpoint, I don't think any lawyer in the world would accept that John Cena would actually sign that contract.
I disagree, because if you look back through the history of WWE lawyers, one of them is now Tommaso Ciampa, so I think they're well versed in the ways of what happens there. The law unto themselves, I believe, is the paragraph that they will go with.
Yeah.
Well, I will go with a couple of retentions then to begin with. Both Matt and myself have gone for John Cena. I can see why there's an argument. I can see that realistically they probably want Cody to be the guy again on the back end of it, as a good guy or a bad guy. We're now reaching the point where we're getting towards 2/3 of the way through the John Cena farewell tour.
Mm-hmm.
He's either going to lose it now or he's going to lose it at the end. There's another argument that I need to throw in here as well. Cena's never been Intercontinental Champion. Is that on his list? Because if it is, that's another tick in the box for him losing it now. If it's not, it doesn't matter. But yeah, both myself and Matt have gone for John Cena to retain. I just think that he'll keep it to the end. And he'll lose it in his last month. Traditional handing over of the torch, as it will. Max, however, has gone for Cody. He said that this will be John Cena's face turn. The Rock, or insert name of rapper here. We can say Travis Scott. Why not WWE? We don't have a problem. Actually, we maybe do, because whatever. That he said that The Rock or the rapper will come out. Cena won't do what they want him to do, and Cody will take advantage. I don't think there will be a double turn, as Cody is the long-term successor to Cena in his opinion, but then Cena will go for that Intercontinental Championship and head on to become a Grand Slam champion. Andy, do you want it next?
Yeah, I've got very, very similar sort of stuff there. Short version, long, I've got Cody winning. Like I say, it's time to do it now rather than wait until the wee small hours. Do it now. Have a partial face turn for Cena and a partial heel turn for Cody, i.e., Cody's going to have to get a little bit dirty to win the match. Cena's going to see that and go, huh. So that's what's been going on all this time. They're going to both go a little bit the other way, and that's going to set the stage for other things. Enter everyone's favourite to capitalise on this. And yeah, Cody to win is the shortest version, but changing of the tunes all around, I think.
Okay, so you have got the double turn. Right then, so we got 2 for Cody, 2 for Cena. Paul?
Well, it's already been mentioned, the fact that a lot of people think this will be where you get the double turn, you get the Cena going back to the good side, and Cody like sort of turning the back. Fully on board with that, by the way. I think if people think Cody's made a lot of like sort of money as a good guy, just wait until he turns heel. That will be dynamite. That'll be so good. Just because he's been the sort of the whiter than white, cleaner than clean babyface. I think there's so much money in him as a heel that it could be like next level good. I'm going to throw the spanner in the works here because obviously Naomi, when she won the Money in the Bank, was obviously a member of the SmackDown roster, but cashed in on the Raw champion. I think this is where the potential for the It's a Work brother comes into play, and this is where Seth potentially comes back, cashes in, and wins what, into all intents and purposes, is the SmackDown main championship. Because if you go back, I don't think Roman Reigns has ever beaten Seth Rollins in a one-on-one contest. Because even when Roman had the long title run, Seth was the only man to beat him in that entire run. It was obviously by DQ at the Royal Rumble, I think.
Right.
But regardless, Roman's never beaten him. So I think the whole point is that at some point, even if it's not now, Seth will become the champ. And the storyline that you then run to the next WrestleMania is that it's Seth versus Roman, and Roman finally beats him and takes the title. So whether you set that up now by having Seth take the main title, or if you have Seth cash in and take the World Heavyweight Championship somewhere down the line, I think that's how you roll it to next year's WrestleMania. So that's obviously like longer term storytelling.
So even if Seth cashes in during this match, is it going to be that it makes it a triple threat and it's just a straight out Seth win, or is it going to be that somebody's going to win and then he'll do it? Because that'll change your prediction. Because you're looking at a potential of a 50-50 on the points, or no points if that doesn't happen at all.
Well, this is the problem with it. So I think because it's the stipulation that's got me thinking about it. Because obviously the stipulation with it being a street fight puts like all sorts of things into play. So you can't get into qualifications. So that takes that out of the equation. There's automatically no countouts, so it has to be won by pinfall or submission. I think you could get a scenario where they're both down because either there's been like belt shots or there's been low blows or something like that, and he just comes out then, and I suppose officially it would turn it into a triple threat, and he would just pin either one of them and take the win. Yeah,
Has he got
in for a penny, in for a pound. Sit me down for Seth to win the match, even though he's not contracted into it.
I mean, going back through the history of the predictions, I have to say, I think this is possibly the first time outright I've ever given two participants and somebody said that somebody else is going to win the same match. I think when it's been in that situation before, we've always given one of the two and then the potential of the cash in. So that's quite a ballsy move. And, I'll absolutely put 0 points for you when it doesn't happen. So
yeah, I was gonna say, this would be awesome when the match goes like 36 minutes and Cena pins him after a low blow.
So that is it. That is the full selection, all 12 matches, primed and predicted by ourselves here at Getting Over on CookieCast. Has anybody got any other business for the episode, gentlemen? Okay, so we've got 2 nights to look forward to this coming weekend. It's going to be a busy one. Let us know what you think. Hit us up in the comments. You give us that like, give us that share. Please give us that subscribe because it means a lot to us and we really, really appreciate it. Whilst you're there, check out everything else that CookieCast has got to offer. It's nearly football season time, ×2, because it's the NFL football season time, not far in the distance as well. Obviously, we've got Andy's Darkest Timeline and the F1 boys still killing it during the F1 season. So give us all a listen. It'd be much, much appreciated. But for now, enjoy SummerSlam weekend and we shall see you next time. Thank you very much.
So there we go. What do you think to that? What have you predicted for these matches? You want to let us know? You want to win a prize? A wrestling-based prize? Drop us a line. Send us your predictions. Number 1, send us your predictions. Get a prize. Number 2, do the same or better than any of us. Win a bigger prize. Tell us that you did all that with your predictions and prove that you liked, shared, subscribed, and all of those goodies. We will send you a bundle of wrestling-related prizes. How about that? Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Without you guys, what would this be? 3 guys talking to themselves. Before you leave us, obviously, do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
You've just listened to another episode of CookieCast. Thanks for listening.